part of it.
You're at a pivotal moment in the company's history today. Have you read The Innovator's Dilemma?
I'm obviously very, very familiar with the concept. I don't think I've read the book actually, but it's one of those things which is so much in the ether. You think you know it,
Right.
So.
I say it in jest because that's the talk of the town, the talk on Wall Street, the talk in Silicon Valley. Is Google getting disrupted in this moment? AI seems to create a fundamentally different paradigm for human-computer interaction. Mm-hmm. Consumers are asking AI questions through chat interfaces. They're getting complete answers. They're engaging with AI systems in a way that they traditionally didn't do with the classical search interface. Is Google at risk of being truly disrupted from AI? Is the core search business, which the ad revenue in search is about a $200 billion run rate out of $360 billion of your total revenue, most of your profits. And it seems like Google's in a really challenging quandary where if you disrupt yourselves too quickly, all of that revenue can go away. It can be really impactful. So is Google being disrupted by AI at this moment, or is Google leading?
It's a good framework, good question to talk about. I've definitely, for almost a decade, one of the first things I did was to think of the company as AI first. It was very clear to us. We had Google Brain underway in 2012. We acquired DeepMind in 2014. 2015, when I became the CEO, I said, look, the technology is really evolving. The reason we were excited to approach our work as AI first is because we really felt that AI is what will drive the biggest progress in search. And so, I think even the last couple of years, I viewed this as an extraordinary opportunity for search. I think if you look at how much information means to people, I think each person is going to have access to information in a way they've never had before. So it feels very far from a zero-sum construct to me. And we are seeing it empirically when people are using search. Obviously, there are a couple of major things we have done with search. Transformers drove some of the biggest innovations in search with BERT and MUM, dramatically improved search quality. We launched AI overviews about a year ago. It's now being used by over 1.5 billion users in over 150 countries. It's expanding the types of queries people can type in. And we see it empirically. The nature of queries is expanded. So there are whole new use cases coming into search. We find for queries where we trigger AI overviews, we see query growth. And the growth continues over time. Getting the feedback from AI overviews, we are testing it in labs. There's a whole new dedicated AI experience called AI Mode coming to search. We'll speak about it more at Google I/O. And in AI Mode, you can have a full-on AI experience in search, including follow-on conversational queries. And we're bringing our cutting-edge models there, where the models are actually working to answer your questions, using search as a real native tool, right? And there the queries, people are typing in queries like literally long paragraphs, right? The average query length is somewhere 2 to 3 times is what we see in search as it existed 2 years ago. So we are seeing people respond. Search is always, from the outside, people look at it and say, search, kind of looks easy to do. The craft of search is very hard. Over 2 decades, I think, we've had a real North Star of understanding what users want in search. And, you've been here, we are kind of a very metrics-driven company. We kind of know what works. Users are our North Star. And empirically, we see that people are engaging more and using the product more, right? So all that, to your question about Innovator's Dilemma, I think the dilemma only exists if you treat it as a dilemma, right? For me, all along in technology, you have these massive periods of innovation and you lean into it as hard as you can. It's the only way to do it. When mobile came, everyone was like, well, it's like you're not going to have the real estate, like how will ads work, all that stuff. Mobile was a transition which ended up working great. I can give great examples, right? Like TikTok has come in. YouTube has thrived since the moment TikTok has come in, right? And it was a whole new format. We did Shorts. When we launched Shorts absolutely didn't monetize anywhere near long form, but we just leaned into the user experience. And over time, when we figured out monetization to follow. So, to me, you don't think about it as a dilemma, because users, you have to innovate to stay ahead, and you kind of lean in that direction.
It's like one of the original principles of Google,
Yeah.
follow the user, all else will follow.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think the Google is dead disruptor narrative has, as you point out, been kind of repeated a number of times. Today, people are pointing specifically, and I appreciate your points about there's new search experiences coming. The search experience, it sounds like, is going to evolve.
Oh, yeah.
As people look at standalone apps, they compare Gemini as a standalone app to ChatGPT, to the Meta experience. The stats that came out in the recent court testimony that had some data revealed from March. I don't know where the data came from, but it said the Gemini AI app had 350 million monthly users compared to ChatGPT at 600 and Meta AI at 500. Is that the wrong way to think about it, that the Gemini standalone app isn't the future or the AI bet that Google's making? But it sounds like there's going to be much more of a kind of timed out integration into how the search experience evolves. And what happens to Gemini?
In search, maybe the most widely used Gen AI product today might be search with AI overviews, right? People are using it intensely. Obviously, we have a standalone Gemini app. I think we are making progress there, particularly with the introduction of Gemini 2.5 Pro. We have seen a real uptick in engagement and usage growth in the product. We have a lot more to come. Just in the last few weeks, we have shipped deep research, an updated canvas, audio overviews. You can now go and do video generation with VO2 straight in the Gemini app. On Android phones with Gemini Live, you can screen share. It can talk to what's on your screen. So there's a lot coming that way, and users are responding. ChatGPT has obviously had phenomenal success, but I think it's still early days, and we are definitely seeing traction, seeing growth. To me, what matters is if you innovate, are users responding and using it more? And that seems to be the case. So it's in our hands to continue innovating, right? I think it's a fiercely competitive moment. But I would say across our products, people are coming and using and consuming information across search, using the Gemini model increasingly in YouTube, in the Gemini app, and so on. So I think it's a much broader view we have.
If I were to think about the unit economics of Google's business, there's a cost to serve a search query, and there's revenue per search query, ad revenue per search query. How is that number changing, or how will that change in this kind of evolution in search towards more of an AI interface? Because I've got to assume that to serve an AI-driven query is much more expensive than to serve a search query.
Look, this is something I think people are really worried about 2 years ago, but I've always felt, to the extent that something is about the cost of serving it, Google with its infrastructure, I'd wager on that, right? And on our chances to do that better than pretty much anyone else. And we have actually seen, for a given query, the cost to serve that query has fallen dramatically in a 18-month time frame. What is probably more of a constraint is latency, I would say. So it's less the cost per query. I think our ability to serve the experience at the right latency, search has been near instant. So how do you think about that frontier has been more of a question. The cost per query is not what I think will end up. I think we'll be able to. We've done the transition well. That's not a primary driver of how it'll impact things. Yeah.
And do you have a point of view on ad revenue per AI query?
We already with AI overviews, we are at the baseline of, it's the same as without AI overviews. And so we've reached that stage but from there we can improve, right? And I think, I've always felt, the reason ads have worked well in search is because commercial information is also information. People when they have that intent are looking for that most relevant information. So I don't see any reason why AI, just from a first principle standpoint, why won't AI do a better job there as well, right? And so I think we are comfortable that we can work the transition through. Some of it may take time, but all indicators are that we'll be able to do it well.
Over time.
over time. But it's already AI overviews. When we show ads, we've kind of reached the baseline.
Do you feel that pressure on Wall Street and the board, and like, what's the tension that you feel as a leader in trying to manage this transition on the product, on the revenue model, for an organization of this scale? I don't know how many leaders have done it successfully in the history of business. Where do you feel the tension? Where do you feel the pressure? And how much leeway are you being given by the founders and the board to do what's needed here?
Two things. I mean, it's a moment of acceleration, right? So if anything, the good thing about these moments is you don't even have a lot of times to think about, some of those questions. You are, I think a lot about making sure we have the best models. We are pushing the frontier as a company, and I think the last few months have shown the breadth and range of what we are doing. We are there, and we have to continue to stay there. So for me, you think and you worry a lot more about execution from within. That's all. Are we executing? Are we moving fast? Are we innovating? And I think over the past 12 months, I think we've really picked up pace as a company, and to meet the moment. So that's where I do spend a lot of time. Look, as a CEO, one of the first things I did in 2015, in addition to being AI first, was to really bet big on. We had great products like YouTube, we had Workspace and Cloud, but really turning them into robust businesses, right? As well as great products. Last year, we exited a combination of YouTube and Cloud at $110 billion. I think, people don't internalize that Google is one of the largest enterprise software companies in the world now. And so, look, I think
the largest media company.
In some ways, right? And, definitely we are doing a podcast. I think we are the largest podcasting service in the world. And so, I feel like, as a company, we are set up well. For the first time, you have this cross-cutting technology. To our earlier point, thinking of us as a deep computer science company, what better technology than AI, which horizontally can impact all aspects of our business? Search, YouTube, Cloud, Waymo, and the other new things we are doing. So it feels like an exciting time. So not a lot of what, we've continued to do well in search. We are doing well in these other businesses. And so to me, it feels like, one of the biggest opportunities ahead as a company too. I think the next decade ahead looks to me as exciting as the